Have you ever stopped to think what would actually happen to your income if your job just disappeared tomorrow? Well, today we're going to unpack the system that's designed to answer that exact question. We're talking about Canada's Employment Insurance Program and what it really means for every single worker in Ontario. Let's break down this crucial financial safety net.
So let's start with that big question. Really think about it. You go to work, everything's normal, and then you find out your position is gone. It is a stressful, scary moment. And the very first thing that pops into your head is probably, how am I going to pay my bills? So what is there to protect your income at a time like that? This is really the heart of our entire conversation today.
And the answer to that critical question, well, it lies within a system specifically designed to be that financial safety net. So let's get into what that actually is. What we're talking about is the Federal Employment Insurance Act. At its core, this is the law, the actual rulebook that creates a nationwide system for temporary financial support for people who lose their jobs through no fault of their own. And the whole thing is funded by premiums, little bits of money paid by both employees and employers, right across the country.
The Act itself says it right at the beginning. Its purpose is to establish a plan of employment insurance. Think about that word plan. This isn't just some casual government program that could vanish tomorrow. It is a deliberate, legally structured system. It's basically a promise written right into Canadian law.
So, okay, we know what it is, but where does all the money actually come from? Let's take a look at the financial engine that really powers this whole safety net.
The easiest way to think about it is like a giant collective insurance plan. See, this isn't funded by your general income taxes. Nope. It's a specific fund that pretty much every worker in Canada and their employer contributes to. We all pay into this big pot, so it's there for any of us who might need to draw from it later on. And this shows you the flow of money perfectly. It's a really simple three-step cycle. First, with every single paycheck, you and your employer pay premiums. Second, all those funds get pooled together into one dedicated national account. And third, that's the account that pays out benefits to people who are eligible and need that support. And here it is, the Employment Insurance Operating Account. Now, the key thing to get here is that this isn't just some line in the government's general budget. The Act legally created this as a separate, dedicated fund. That means the money you pay in EI premiums is walled off specifically to pay for EI benefits and nothing else.
Okay, so the money is collected, it's kept safe. But what does the Act actually do with it? What kind of support are we really talking about here?
The main goal, the whole reason this system exists, is exactly what we talked about at the start: to provide you with temporary income support. The official legal term for this support, as you'll see in the Act, is benefits. This is the real-world output of the entire system, that financial help that keeps you on your feet while you're looking for your next job.
Now, this is a really important thing to understand. The Act itself is the high-level rulebook. Think of it as the constitution for the whole system. It sets up the legal framework, it creates that special EI account, and it defines the rules for how premiums work. What it is not is a how-to guide. It won't give you a step-by-step on how to apply or tell you the exact dollar amount you're going to get. It's the architecture, not the user manual. So who exactly falls under this big legal umbrella? Well, basically, it covers most employees and their employers across Canada. And of course, the whole thing is managed and administered by the Government of Canada. And that brings us to our next point. You can imagine a system this big and this important needs some serious oversight to make sure it's running properly and fairly for everyone. So, who's in charge? The Act actually lays out a pretty clear structure. You've got the Canada Employment Insurance Commission at the top. That includes people from government, business, and labor, and they oversee the whole system. Then you have Service Canada, which is the government body that manages the day-to-day stuff, like handling applications and payments. And they have officers who make sure everyone's playing by the rules. And listen, this isn't all just based on trust. The Act actually has teeth. It includes specific rules for investigations, and it outlines real penalties if you don't follow the rules. This is all about protecting the integrity of the system, making sure the funds are there for the people who genuinely need them.
Okay, so let's zoom out for a second. We've looked at the what, the how, and the who. But let's bring it all together and ask that big question. Why does this single piece of law actually matter to you?
When you look at it this way, you can see that at its heart, the EI system is a partnership. You've got workers and employers both paying premiums into that collective pot. You've got the government administering it, and then, from that shared fund, benefits flow back out to support workers when they need it the most.
It really is a cycle of shared responsibility.
So here's the most important takeaway. The Employment Insurance Act is so much more than just a dry, boring legal document. It is the framework for a legal promise. It's a promise that we, as a society, have all agreed to create a system of collective support for each other during what can be one of life's most challenging times, losing a job.
And that kind of leaves us with one last thing to think about. We've just unpacked the law as it is today, but we all know that the world of work is changing fast. With the gig economy, more contract work, automation, the very definition of a job is shifting. So the big question for all of us is, how should our safety nets, like the one we've just talked about, evolve right along with it? It's definitely something to think about.